Polygon, what happened? Why are you no longer working there?
For me, like it was interesting but not great. Development on the Ethereum has done by the people apart from Ethereum.
Very easy to reach out to founders than their team members. For me, China is very dark. Do you also farm airdrops? Hello everyone, this is Dhee, and today we have a very special guest, JD Kanani, who is the ex-co-founder of Polygon and current founder of Mozak and Morphic Films. Polygon is probably the biggest case study coming out of India, which no one expected, and what JD has done to build this company and what he's doing, that is like pretty interesting for me, and I would like to talk to him about his journey as an entrepreneur, as a crypto community member, and as a person whom people can look up to in building new companies, getting into deep tech and whatnot. So JD, thank you for doing this.
So thanks Dave for having me.
Awesome. So I'll start right away. Polygon, one of the biggest players in the crypto ecosystem. You founded it. What happened? Why are you no longer working there? What's happening?
Yeah. So Polygon has evolved a lot in past few years. So for example, if you think about it, 2017 when I started it, from that to 2023, for example, it has evolved a lot. The people, like the number of people at Polygon has increased a lot. The number of projects who are building on Polygon has increased a lot. Everything is there. For me, like mostly like Polygon wanted to do particularly decentralization mode. So for example, it's a community driven development for community driven roadmap and everything. And also like we wanted to have external companies, external people, communities to build for Polygon and on the Polygon, like Ethereum is doing, for example, right? So in Ethereum, like Ethereum Foundation is very small and there's just do the research and everything, but majorly development on the Ethereum has done by the people apart from Ethereum, and that is very important for in general for the decentralization of the projects, and that's what we were kind of targeting at Polygon as well. And for me, like I was just kind of leading some tech teams at Polygon, and mostly like leading the team and seeing if everything is going well or not. And for me, like it was interesting but not great, right? And so I thought like I'm good at building companies, I'm good at building tech products. So I thought like let me step back from Polygon, because we already had a very good people leaders. For example, David now is leading the tech on the at Polygon. But the idea basically let other people do leading and roadmap and everything, and then I kind of took a step back and started exploring other things which I enjoy a lot actually. Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah.
Tell me.
No, I'm just saying like it's nothing personal or anything like that. It's basically I just wanted to explore something else apart from Polygon. So yeah, that was the
What
idea.
did you enjoy the most? What do you enjoy most doing in the space?
Okay, so in general, like I like being in the weeds. Okay, so for example, let's say if you ask me, okay, hey, just take care of or be in the board and do something here and just vote on the decisions being made by the other people. It is good. Like it is also important to take those voting and yes or no kind of a thing, but I don't enjoy personally. I like to be kind of being in the weeds and pushing things and hiding and making a progress on the development and pushing the boundaries basically. So that is the
Nice.
major thing, right? And
Nice.
I feel like once in a crypto space, when the product is live and we were pushing about, for example, DAO governance based decision making and all sort of kind of decentralization, like it is great, but I find that pace very slow. I don't enjoy much. So yeah, that was the yeah. So that's what, like, I enjoy, like, pushing
Yeah.
things
You
faster
like
and develop.
building,
Yeah,
pushing things, and like doing things, right? Like being in
yeah,
the trenches, and like that adrenaline is completely different, right? Like, oh,
correct.
something went wrong, damn it, let's fix it
Yeah.
asap, right? Like, yeah, 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 I get it. So couldn't you have taken up a different role in the company, and like do your own little entrepreneurship within the company? Is that
You
something
can you
you
can you can always do that, but you cannot experiment with that. The reason is that some people might like it, some people might not like it, and it gets very complicated very easily. When company grows at Polygon size, like, you also need to make sure, okay, you stays focused, right? You don't need to do like a lot of things at the company. Otherwise, it basically creates a lot of issues in general in the roadmap of the no, of the company, here, mostly at Polygon. So for me, like, it is, if you want to do experiments, if you don't want to kind of pollute the brand value, like, it's good to do outside of any company. And that was the goal, right? So I wanted to do some experiments, some ideas I had, which I'm doing at Mozak, to be honest. Very different architectures and everything. So yeah, so I thought about that, to be honest. But yeah, again, like, when you are moving towards the decentralization, as a project, like, you cannot basically experiment like Web2 companies does, right? So for example, Google started the research labs and everything, like the founder moved there and started doing something else. You cannot do that at in Web3 projects like Polygon. Yeah.
I spoke to one of the founders, Smokey from Bera Chain, and he said something interesting and something controversial. I would like to hear your opinion on it. I was asking him about Indian developers and Indian projects being built, and he said what he's mostly seeing is most of the people are building copycat projects, right? And that is what is happening, right? Like, there's not a lot of innovation coming out of the space, is at least from what he's seen. And like, even before, right, like if I go back to ICO time and whatnot, it probably was true. What you guys were doing was a little bit different. So like, what do you think about this, and what are your thoughts?
Actually, this is he was, or they were talking about India specific or in general in crypto specific.
India.
Yeah. See, like, I've always talked about Indian crypto scene, is that people always say, okay, hey, like, we are seeing a lot of good projects out of India, but I don't see anything any good projects out of India, to be honest. Like, I've been very vocal about that as well in multiple
Yeah,
podcasts and my talks.
yeah.
That people, I also talked with people in a venture capital areas and market, that, okay, like, when they think about, okay, we can start the fund in India, and I always say, okay, I mean, just first, like, explore the market and then take the
Hmm.
decision, because it's very different. I've seen a lot of the new freshers
Mhm.
building some small products, but they are basically afraid of creating something different,
Hmm.
right? When I say something different, it's basically like, okay, hey, like, I've seen people obviously like doing copycats mostly, but I'm still not sure, like, why people are afraid of creating something new, or little bit different, like having a different opinion and trying something different. Um, the reason could be, like, they want to be like, they want to succeed first, right? Because in India, like, there is also a problem or some taboo against the rejection, right? And the problem is that when you are starting something and doing your first project, you want to succeed.
Yeah, but the likelihood of a copycat project succeeding is also quite low. I think I lost you. Bruh, no. Yeah,
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 sorry.
yeah. Yeah.
So what I was saying is that people always want, like, people want to succeed, and to do that, they just want to be safe, and to to play safe, they say, okay, like let's not do very different thing, which
Mm.
people don't want to fund, for example. So let's do whatever easiest path to get funding and do something, and basically maybe we compete with some other similar products is fine, but we will kind of have assurance that okay, this will work, right? And I think that could be the reason. The second reason, I also found that people, a lot of like founders or the new freshers, etc., like this is sometimes they just do things for the grants and some little funding, right? And that is also mindset people have right now, like it's because like it's easy market, like the money is readily available on the big projects, like grants and everything. So people say, okay, let's start something. We will take the grant and maybe we'll think about it, like what to build later. So that is also a problem. And I feel like those kind of a thing uh, kind of create a problem, and it reflects the quality of the projects and product in general. And this is not a Web3 specific. Let me be clear that this is also in Web2 space. So I don't see a lot of good startups in India. Like they just, if they're good, they just move to SF and some other US market. So people tend to stay in India and build for the India if the product is for the India, right? So if the operation heavy or Indian specific market, then they will stay in India. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense to basically be in India. And and that's why, like you are seeing a lot of good Indian founders, but not in India, but outside India, right? And
Mm.
that's the reason.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and I think that is also interesting to see the China versus India also, right? So for example, in China, like they also experiment a lot. They also copycat, by the way. They also do a lot of
Mm.
copycat, but they also kind of create a new product, like for example, TikTok kind of a thing, or some other similar applications or products very easily in China, but we haven't seen that in India in general. Um, of course, like there is a lot of background context to that, VCs and everything, but yeah, in general, like I see that this problem, yes.
Yeah, but like I know you've seen like hundreds of projects being built, but how is it possible that, like, why people are they just trying to play a very different game, like take as much funding, take as much grant as possible, in the least minimum tension way, right? Like, is that the game they're playing, instead of like, hey, we want to take crypto ahead, or like, we believe in what we're doing, right? Like, are they playing different games?
Yeah, probably, like the thing is that that's what I'm saying. Like their major goal is to basically remove the financial restriction they have right now, so that they choose like very minimal path they can get, and by doing that, they basically go in this cycle of life where they just get the grant, do something, jump on the different projects, take the grant, build something, and jump on the other project, right? So it's like basically cycle you are creating with that. And to solve that, basically someone need to try. That's it. Like for example, we tried in Polygon at Matic Network in 2017, um, and the idea behind was that for example, I was doing some open source contribution, some freelancing as well on the side to kind of keep going. But people don't want to do that nowadays. They want to basically showcase, okay, they are founders and they are getting grants, and the entitlement also increases with the little bit of grant, and they basically start thinking about they are very genius and everything. So that's a problem, right? And I always like tweet about that. Okay, also that okay, don't like entitlement is also a problem in general. That okay, whatever you build, it might work right now, like maybe after 2 months it might not work, etc. So people always forget that. So in general, like I also told this thing multiple times that it's easy to reach out to the US founders than Indian founders, um,
Yeah.
because I don't know like why, but that's the case. Yeah.
Yeah, I also noticed, like, it's very easy to reach out to founders than their team members. Like, this is what I've
Yes.
observed, right? Like, if I
Yeah.
go do a top-down approach, like, let's talk about podcast as well, right? Like, the founders, like, they reply within minutes and this and that, right? Like, but if you have a layer like, oh, like a marketing person you reach out to, they're like, yo, what is this, what is that, right? Like they have thousand other questions. So this is personally what I've noticed, right? Reaching out to founders, even investors, it's super simple, right? Like VCs who like probably run the fund, it's easy. But like if you reach out to an analyst, no, there's no reply coming to you. Or like reach out to a team member, nothing is happening. So that's interesting what I've seen. And what I've also seen is like I think we like crypto founders are like thoda built different, right? Like they actually if you like if you seem to care about what they're building, they generally helpful, they generally reach out, they generally do all the stuff, so which is pretty interesting, which I've not seen in other sections or other industry, because there's a lot of gatekeeping which is happening, is from what I understand at least, right? So you spoke a little bit about China. For me, China is very dark, not in terms of, oh, they're bad, like not like that, but I just don't know anything, right? Like, so I am in the dark. But majority of there are a lot of Chinese users, right? Like we don't hear any news from all of these publications, or what are they building, and like what innovation is coming out of China, or like Chinese devs. So little bit, can you shed some light?
Yeah, no, I mean, I have the same information as you. There is nothing like, everything is closed there. But what I was trying to say is that I see a lot of innovations or things coming from China instead of India,
India.
right?
Yeah.
And so few days back also, like Elon Musk also tweeted about if some companies in China, they are creating the vehicle, like electronic vehicle, like it will be basically crush them everyone, including
Yeah,
Tesla,
BYD.
and yeah, in every market. So those kind of things we lack in India, right? And interestingly, like I don't know why, like but obviously there are so many reasons about that. I don't want to talk about that things, but yeah, in general, yeah.
Cool, bro. So thanks for sharing that. Tell me a little bit about early Matic, right? Like, what were you guys trying to do? What were you and whatever you achieved, and tell me a little bit about 2021 or 2020, where like probably Matic was at all time high. Like you had great giga brains investing. What was the company culture starting from like nowhere, probably going broke multiple times, to its all-time highs?
Yeah, I mean, see, like at the end, like you just basically tried multiple things and see what sticks, right? So we obviously, like, we tried a lot of things at Polygon, at Medic Network. Um, the, the one thing we basically didn't try is basically or focus on the ZK part, right? And we talked about multiple times when optimistic rollup was very on the hype, right? And we kind of obviously, like, we tried getting optimistic roll up at Polygon as well, but we ended up doing the ZK at the end. And those kind of a small or long term bet worked very well for Polygon, right? So particularly what I want to say is that, like, there are so many hype cycle you get at every few months, right? Sometimes you get the DA, sometimes you get the DAO, sometimes you get some different hype, and it is very hard to not look at the hype and focus on what you are or what you want to build. So you need to basically do the balance between them, right? Obviously, like, you also need to play around some narrative game, for example, to make sure like you stay relevant for the current users and trends. But at the end, like, what you are want to make, you cannot basically change every 2 months whatever whatever you want to make, right? So what and then, like, what you want to build is basically, okay, 5 years down the line, you see, okay, hey, what's going to work in the 5 years time period, and you start building it right now and see, like, and just spray in between that, okay, if this works. So now, like, it's basically kind of a luck plus effort plus execution game. Obviously, you might be able to execute the whole tech or whatever the product you are to build, but luck is also very important, users is also very important. So And then like nothing magic. It's basically just you start building whatever you built in 5 years. Do that. Try to get the users, people around that, and see if it works. So
Awesome.
what sometimes I see a lot of projects during the hype cycle. So I've seen a lot of DAOs in the DAO market and NFT projects in the while NFT was on the top. But like it is very short term momentum or short term games you play maybe if you are building a company. So but if you want to build a longer term game, like you need to basically try different things.
Awesome. What are your opinions about like BD partnerships with Web2 organizations? There was a time where, like, I think you as guys as a company was focusing a lot on that, like, onboarding Web2 companies, brands, luxury, this and that. Like, how is that thesis playing out, right? I want to hear Mega. Yeah.
Yeah, so currently I'm out of the information from Polygon, but
Yeah.
as far as I know, like there's so many deals we made at Polygon on the BD side. Some of them worked, some of them didn't work, to be honest. But yeah, again, like to get the users, to get the hundreds, thousands of users, you need to have some people on boarded on Polygon which has a user, right? So, for example, if you don't have a user and if you want to build users from Web2 itself, then you need to do some partnership with the Web2 companies or the people who have users. And that was we try to do that. I'm not sure, like, what is the current situation there.
That's fine.
I think Mark would be the better
Yeah.
person to talk about that. But again, like for example, let's say right now, the overall Web3 market is basically little bit of reluctant. So maybe Web2, some Web2 might not come right now, or some might be thinking to move or use the crypto. So yeah, it depends on the market sentiment as well.
Yeah.
And sometimes Web2 companies also tried different things to kind of increase the value of their companies or increase
Irrelevant.
the valuation, yeah, to stay relevant. So sometimes they also try things and sometimes
It
it
works,
doesn't
it
work.
doesn't.
It's fine, yeah, yeah.
Interesting. Uh, cool. So tell me a little bit about, like, even though you build tech, but I'm pretty sure you're thinking a lot about consumers as well, right? Like, so what are
Yeah.
the kind of consumers in crypto which are high value and, like, like, not necessarily high ticket, but, like, which are consumers which you think we need to attract as a dApp or as a protocol or whatever, right? Like, what are some things you think, like, hey, if we get these kind of users, I think we'll be sorted.
Very hard to tell, but one of the things I would like to see is basically fintech, not as a part of the DeFi, but a fintech on some kind of trustless systems. When I say trustless systems or the fintech users, is basically people always assume, okay, DeFi, yeah, we can use the DeFi everywhere. But the problem with DeFi is that it's just a bubble with their own tokens and everything. So, for example, if I right now, like if I want to transfer USDC to you, I might able to do that, but you might not be able to withdraw to your bank account for sure. So it's very kind of a different systems, different layers on right now on the fintech layer. So I would definitely want to see more of the integration between them. Obviously, that's not necessarily like you don't need like that. You can always assume that okay, the both layer will be different, and then you just assume the USDC part is separate than the USD part, which is okay. But I would like to see people actually using in their normal lives. They're transferring the blockchains or trustless systems to transferring the values and everything, which is very important, right? So
Mm.
people won't move from the normal infrastructures we have from the Web3 infrastructures until unless you provide the better value, right?
Yeah.
When I say value, it doesn't mean just the airdrops and everything. People will come for that and just don't stay there. What I'm saying is
Yeah, yeah,
that better experience, better
yeah.
usability, and in general, like for example, bank doesn't allow you to transfer money in the Saturday Sunday, but if you For example, you can do 20
Yeah.
by 24 by 7 here, right? Those kind of things basically. And also like decreases the friction in general on the
Mhm.
fintech world. I think that would be I would see a lot of use cases there. I don't still see a much values in gaming in Web3, to be honest. Like maybe I'm wrong here, but I feel like gaming in normal world is very, very far better. Like games are
Yeah.
much, much better.
Yeah.
So as a gamer, I don't care. Web3
What
gamings,
games?
to be honest. Like right now I'm not playing any games, but I play a lot of simple like one main game. Like recently I played Ghost of Tsushima game.
Hmm.
So those kind of games I play, but those kind of I enjoy. Right, people play. I particularly play games for the fun and
Yeah.
for
Not.
not for money.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. Fair.
So
So, do you also farm airdrops?
oh, so okay, so no, actually, I received some airdrops from. Okay, so interestingly, I was not doing when I was Polygon because when I built, I was in Polygon. I was focusing on building
Yeah.
and all sort of things. But now, like I have kind of starting again, so I have some. I'm exploring a little bit more of
Hmm.
outside world. So now I know like what is airdrop is going, and now like people also here in my office, so sometimes they also tell me, okay, this is also new airdrop is coming. So sometimes I get a airdrop. So today only I got some starkware of
Yeah.
airdrop thanks
Oh,
to my GitHub contributions back in the day. So yeah, I got I think Celestia airdrop
nice.
as well, and I didn't know how to sell at the time, so I just staked it. So I got like now dimension airdrop.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. How does it feel?
it's good. It's good that I'm getting money for free, which is
Yeah.
like the amount is very huge,
Yeah.
particularly, and those amount could be like 5 year salaries in India. Someone,
Oh yeah. Definitely. Definitely. Awesome.
which is
Awesome.
crazy.
Yeah. You watch a lot of anime as well, or used to? So,
Yes.
what are your top favorites, and what is something you're watching right now?
Okay, so um, okay, let me open my Crunchyroll so I can just give quick answers. Okay, so I like Code Geass a lot. It is my far best favorite anime. You can see my profile on everywhere, on Twitter, on GitHub, and everywhere. Um, Recently, I also like Naruto and like One Piece and everything. Like obviously, I watch them. One Piece I'm watching like as episode is coming. Um, Apart from that, I recently watched Monster again. I'm not sure if people know Monster, but Monster is very very good anime. Very slow, and the pacing very very slow, but it's very very good, very well written anime. People should watch it. Attack on Titan, obviously, like I already watched it, and Demon Slayer, for example, Bleach.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah,
You just
those anyway.
everything, right? Like yo,
Yeah,
you name it, you've watched it, right? Like you, that's
yeah,
cool.
quite
That's
kind of. Yeah, this. Yeah.
awesome. So, I want to ask you a little bit about Solana. What do you think?
Mhm.
Is that a good competitor for Ethereum? Is it a good competitor for L2s? Or where do you see Solana fit into the crypto ecosystem?
Okay. So I talked about Solana in I think Tanmay Bhatt's podcast. I think few years back. What I like about people experimenting apart from Ethereum. So mostly like when people talk about Ethereum and other ecosystem, they get very defensive about Ethereum, and they basically push hard that okay, only Ethereum will win and everything. But that's what not I would like to think. Obviously, like Ethereum ecosystem is too big and everything, but I would I would like to see more experiments, right? So Solana is kind of one of them. Suis, Aptos, or those are kind of also a different blockchains which are doing good experiments. So I definitely enjoy. seeing them succeed, to be honest. And I see a lot of good projects also coming on Solana and other blockchains, so which is good. And at the end, like if you think about it, and if you say, okay, hey, no, only Ethereum should win, it is like saying, okay, hey, only Bitcoin should win, right? Or
Yeah.
only finance fintech should win. There shouldn't be a crypto, or there should be a monopoly. If you if you are saying, okay, only Ethereum should win, then you are basically saying, okay, there should be only monopoly, and that's what crypto is against, right? So we don't want
Yeah.
monopolies kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's good to have like a lot of options like Solana and everything, and I see like a lot of good design decisions in Solana. Particularly, I like account models of Solana. Yeah, so definitely, yeah.
Awesome. 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 And so are you a Eth Maxi?
I never said I am Eth Maxi, to be honest. If you go in any of
Yeah.
my podcast, I never said
Mhm.
I'm Eth Maxi. Maybe my other co-founders might have said that, but I'm not
Yeah.
Eth Maxi. That's what I was saying, right? I'm not a
Yeah. Yeah.
Maxi of any
That's
particular
cool.
thing. If you're saying that, it means that you are saying, okay, hey, only one should win,
Game. Yeah. 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 That makes sense.
which is not the which is not the right mindset.
Approach. Yeah, like even
Uh,
for me, right? Like earlier I used to have a mindset like, hey, this is the best blockchain, but I think this cycle I had to retrain to try out new things, right? Like try out new browsers, try out new wallets, try out new blockchains, try out new tech, try out like different way how DeFi is done, like so just to be relevant. Otherwise like your whole thesis, whatever you have formed in a particular bull market, probably doesn't work again, right? Like as things keep changing and like new people keep coming in, and yeah, like so that's what I've noticed, right? Like I ended
uh,
up, because of that, ended up getting a lot of airdrops, but also learning so much
which is
about
good.
yeah. Also learning so much about tech and like so much how other people think, right? Like otherwise we are all in like one bubble, which
Bubble, yeah.
doesn't help. It doesn't help anyone, right? Like so, yeah. So new people come, new ideas come, and you are just left with no idea what's happening, right?
Yeah,
So
no,
there's a whole
and just to mention that it is okay to defend your own technology or own blockchain. That's fine, but
yeah.
saying, okay, oh no, only this is right approach, this is wrong approach, which is
Hmm,
okay. Also, you can defend that, but I would
hmm,
like to again, like, and I would like to see a lot of experiments, to be honest, in this space, and
yeah,
see what works and what doesn't work. They're all people who are making different solutions, for example, and the scaling game, like they are making different trade-offs.
hmm.
So which is fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So talking about trade-offs and solutions, right? Like I had a live stream I did with like some people from the Cosmos ecosystem. I was not aware of Cosmos, and this is what I do, right? If I'm not aware, I get in people, learn about it. So this becomes like my learning model, and like I found it very interesting in a certain way, right? Like tr- I mean, yeah, transactions happening there are also fast, but like the whole ecosystem and like Cosmos Hub and like how are they interconnected, I found it pretty interesting. And a lot of new projects which are building are also using like Cosmos SDK, or like there is some kind of modularism conversation happening, narrative happening, right? Like so what is your take on this?
Yeah. Okay. Cosmos, we use Cosmos SDK in at Polygon. Polygon POS is basically underneath. We have two architecture. One is we use one chain. It's based on Geth EVM, and one is basically Tendermint Bake like Cosmos SDK. I know their ecosystem by tech a little bit more than the Solana or some other architectures, to be honest, at this point. They have taken a very different approach. We are saying, okay, hey, like you different security models, you have your own validator set, and you do that. But I'm still not clear, like, no, if it's the right approach again. Like, it is okay, like if that's working, but they made a trade-off where your chain security is different than my chain security, and then when we communicate between them, like the things are very different. I'm just basically trusting you, whatever you are sending me. I'm just trusting that thing. So if something goes wrong in your chain, like it doesn't, like I don't know, and I basically just accept like whatever the messages I'm getting from your chain. So very very different architecture there. Security assumption is very different when you communicate between the chains using the IBCs in Cosmos. Up and same with the modular architecture, right? So modular is I still don't understand modular architecture is a good approach in general, but again, good that people are experimenting. Um, the my worry about the modular architecture is too complex, to so many moving parts, and people who have built this chain or like people who want to build the product, good products, it's very hard to build that in modular world. Maybe people are building it, trying it. Maybe I haven't seen like good big user base with the like in modular world as of yet. There are so many chains, so many things happening. You do execution here, you do DA here, you do consensus here, you do things here. Very very complex, and it is very hard to build in a system where you don't have a control. When I say control, it means that if you are using four things in your application on your product, and all kind of a different validator set and different things, it looks great as a product, like as a decentralization. Okay, like we are doing modular, but at the end, like if something goes wrong anywhere, like you don't know like what to do, right?
Hmm.
So recently I asked about the questions where I said, okay, like what we will do when the light client is down or my light client fails, for example.
Hmm.
Then the answer was, okay, just wait for to get it up again, right? That was the answer. So my point basically is that it's too complex,
Yeah.
and my approach of any kind of a product I build or whatever I do is basically very opinionated things. And then
Hmm.
obviously, if you want different opinion, then you can use the different systems. You don't have to kind of plug and play different things,
Correct.
basically, right? So
Hmm.
you have a like open ecosystem. When I say open ecosystem, is that you can basically exit one ecosystem and go into a different ecosystem, which is fine.
Hmm.
So what I would say is that whatever you build, well, like, I would make it very very opinionated, so people like is easy to use. It is not
Hmm.
a plug and play things and very complex thing, very simple opinionated things. And if you don't want, you can use different opinionated, like different opinion based systems, for example,
Hmm.
and like that would I would do, like that's what I would do. So I'll give you
Hmm.
example. For example, browsers or anything, like if you don't like a Chrome, like you just go to Safari, you can always use that. But you don't need like Safari to do everything what Chrome, Arc, and everyone is doing, right? Um, it's a very lame example, but just
Yeah.
there could be a
Interesting.
lot of options for you, but whatever you with different opinion, you don't have to have a like one product with a different like thousands of
Yeah, makes sense. And also, seeing very very different example is like your phones. There were so many experiments, 6 7 years. People were trying to build modular phones. You can swap out your camera, you can swap out your RAM and whatnot. Like if you remember, right? Um,
yeah.
it sounded so good, but it never took off, right? Like it never reached mainstream adoption. I'm not sure if it's the same in software or is in
Uh,
blockchain, because hardware is a very different ball game. But like that is something I can think of.
yeah, I mean, see, I just give you example of iPhone versus Android, like and different versions of Android, for example, right? So what you can do is basically iPhone very opinionated. If you don't want to use it, that's fine. Like you just go with the different, start using Android, right? You have option to do that. Um, Only thing difference is that you cannot exit the systems with your data and everything easily, and that's what we are basically changing as a Web3. Like it's make it easy to exit from your system, and that's it. You don't need to do anything. Make very opinionated products, that's fine, but make very easy to exit, and that's it. Like that's what you want to do.
Nice, nice, very cool, very cool. What are your opinions about, like, last 2 3 questions I'll ask, then we can close it. What are your opinions about all the conferences which are happening? What do you think about
Oh yeah, I might have tweeted some things about conferences before. I see a lot of Indian founders, to be honest, everywhere, which is
conference?
very crazy. Okay, they haven't made any kind of product. I've seen. I won't give the names, but I've seen people raising funds and
Hmm.
seeing everywhere. Like I've seen every region of the world conferences. Which is okay. But I think product should be on priority.
Hmm.
Obviously, like events and conferences are important when you for businesses and for the marketing and everything. But if that's your priority, then I think something is wrong somewhere. So what I would say is that okay, first like build the product. Okay, build the product. Try to get some users. If your users are in the conference, that's fine. Like you can go to conferences and everything. But you again, like you don't have to be in every conferences. So like don't do over attend or no don't also like no also don't say okay we don't want to go in the conferences at all even if your users are there but so make it in moderate sense. I would say that just put it the best.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, everyone everyone has crazy stories about conferences, right? Like, so asking about conferences always brings out something in people. So, like, that's why I ask the
No,
conference.
in India, like, oh, okay, so specific to India is different because people want to travel abroad from India, right? That's the dream, right? No, everyone wants to travel as a business travel. They want to do that, which is okay. Like, this is a good small dream to have as a normal Indian middle class family. Do that, that's fine. But don't do over, like, no, I've seen like people, as I mentioned, like everywhere, but don't do. I mean, it's up to you. Like, I'm just giving my 2 cents. It's yeah, don't kill me for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get users, guys. That's the thing. Awesome. So, cool. Tell me, like, if I am a founder, or like, someone who, or a dev who wants to do something in Web3, what areas should I look into?
Okay, so I think I would say like try application side because I don't see a lot of innovation there. On an application level, I think Farcaster did a lot of good, for example, recently, and they are doing something great in general, like architecture wise and everything. So I would say like try some consumer apps, probably. Um, yeah, maybe it's harder, but yeah,
Probably
that's I
the
would say.
hardest to build, right? Like consumer apps.
Yeah, yeah.
Do it. Interesting. And what good experiments are you seeing in crypto, which, like, you want to talk about, or like, you were shocked by, oh, this is also happening.
Recently, yeah. So on the application side, I know Farcaster is doing great. That
Mhm.
is, I think, a good example. Apart from that, I'm not seeing a lot of like shockingly different
Mhm.
applications, to be honest, at this point. Maybe this might change in maybe next cycle or something. But yeah, sorry to say this, but yeah, I'm not
Yeah. If not apps,
seeing
what
anything.
about tech? Like, hey, someone doing something interesting with tech.
I think GK space is very good. I'm here, like I'm just basically pushing a little bit of Mozak here, but yeah, ZK space I feel like is very good in general on the infra side, and I think it also changes the things how like on like how blockchain would work or blockchain would
Mhm.
look like in the maybe next few years, right?
What?
Because now the idea of not executing and just verifying things on the face value is very different, right? So for example, if you're running a consensus and let's say, okay, hey, like if this is right or wrong, I might just need to rely on the consensus in crypto economies. But and then obviously you need also have some trust assumption in the consensus where you say, okay, there 50% people should be or validator should be honest, or 2 by 3 plus one validator should be honest, or one of 10 validators should be honest, for example, in optimistic case. In ZK, like those assumptions goes out of the window, right? And
Mm.
you say, okay, hey, like whatever you getting as a proof, doesn't matter who created those proof and the party was good or bad, it doesn't matter, right? So you relying upon 100% on those mathematics or cryptography. which is very, very okay. I still feel that ZK is not being used correctly, and it might bring a lot of innovation in general in the blockchain space. Okay.
Examples?
Um, I'm still surprised that people haven't started using that ZK. Obviously, people have started using in the EVM and everything, which is thanks to Polygon also. Like we have ZK EVM, but I feel like it is a very low hanging fruit with ZK. You basically you can use zero knowledge proofs or zero knowledge technology far better use cases or applications than just this. I don't know the example. I feel like it has a much capability than we are using right now. I don't
Okay.
know where. Okay, I just this feeling. I don't know
Yeah,
how
yeah,
to express it. I'm just saying this. Okay, I
yeah,
have
yeah.
this feeling
Yeah. That
that we
makes
can
sense.
basically use ZK much better ways or different ways than just ZK VMs. Yeah.
Awesome. So, like my last question, what are you up to now? What is the public information you can share with us
Yeah.
about whatever you're doing, Mozak? And yeah, like little bit on that, and then we can end this.
Okay, so obviously, like ZK I mentioned, so Mozak is basically purely on ZK and everything. I'm trying to use ZK different ways. I will post more information about Mozak very soon. One of the guy I was pitching Mozak to, and he said, "Okay, this is very controversial." I don't know why he said that, but yeah. So trying different things there, taking different approaches on using the ZK. The second thing I was experimenting is animation, making animation through generative AI at
Hmm.
Morphic Films. But yeah, strategy little bit change in Morphic Films, to be honest. So I'll share more details very soon. Maybe this month only. I'll put
Awesome.
something out there on the website for Morphic Films. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Thank you for doing this. This was like a nice chat. I hope people watching this enjoy, learn something, and yeah. Thank you, JD.